Hello, today we're going to talk about the ASG Summary and Quadrant Report. If you notice, this is a second grade class. It was the winter test and it's comparing fall to winter norms. I just have reading highlighted. If you wanted, you could highlight math as well. I think it's easier usually to look at one subject at a time, but you'll see the math identifier there is a green plus sign. Also, if you're looking at your own class, it makes sense to click Show Names right here so you can see who everyone is. First thing we're going to do is talk about these numbers, okay? Down below, 0 to 100 is measuring students' achievement, all right? Students to the left of this line are performing below the norm, and students to the right of this line are performing above the 50th percentile, above the norm. Then we're going to look at the top to bottom, 0 to 100. This looks at a student's growth, okay? So are they growing at a rate faster than those who scored the same as them in the fall? Or are they growing slower than their peers? All right, and then based on that, we can see who's in which box. So the orange box gives us students who are low achievement. They're performing below the 50th percentile. However, they have high growth, which means they're performing better than they were projected to perform, and their percentile in the winter is higher than their percentile was in the fall. Over here, we have high achievement, high growth. These students are performing above the 50th percentile and they're growing above the 50th percentile too, letting us know that their winter percentile rank is higher than their fall percentile rank was. Down here, we have kids, they're performing above the norm. They have above 50th percentile achievement. However, they're not growing at their projected pace, which means their winter percentile rank is lower than their fall percentile rank. Their RIT score may have increased, okay? They may have a higher RIT score than they did in the fall, in the winter, but it didn't increase enough to either keep their percentile the same or grow it. And then here we have students in pink who are performing below the 50th percentile and they're growing at a low rate, meaning that their winter percentile is even lower than it was in the fall. So once we can understand this, all right, you kind of want kids to either be in the orange or the green, okay? That means you're closing gaps in their learning. You are pushing students at a high level, even beyond, all right? But we can get even more data when we scroll down here and then see who these students are. So your kids' names will be right here, actually, all right? And then you can see this is a great example of a yellow student, okay? So they had a 193 in the fall. Now they have a 194. So they did score higher. However, they were projected to grow 7 points and they only grew 1. And because of that, they went from the 91st percentile to the 80th percentile. So you can scroll through here really quickly and just see, did your kids meet their projection? That's what you're going for. You want students to meet their projection, meaning they'll stay in the same percentile, fall to winter or fall to spring, okay? And some of our kids, you want them to even grow beyond that. So like students performing below the 50th percentile, we want them not to just meet their projection, but ideally you want them to grow beyond that projection, okay? So here's an example of like a success story here, okay? This student's actually like right on the norm for everything, okay? But they're an orange kid. It's actually this child right here. They came in with a 172, all right? Now they have a 181. They were projected to grow 9, and they did grow 9, and they're staying in the 49th percentile. That's basically average, okay? So that's good. If you want that student to grow even more, they would have had to grow more than 9 points, All right, but 50th percentile is the norm. It depends on what your students' goals are, what your school's goals are, etc. But you'll just scroll and see who met it and who didn't. So I'm going to scroll down, okay, right to here. And this is your last page, okay? And on your last page, this gives you a lot of good information, okay? It tells me I had 25 students in this class. 16 of them met or exceeded their projection, all right? And we could see that. You had a lot of green kids on that report. Even orange kids count for this meeting or exceeding that. That's 64% of your kids, all right? Those are like the three main numbers you want to look at here. I can just show you the what this means if you want to know the median conditional growth percentile. That's like your middle child and what their conditional growth percentile was. If you're unfamiliar with conditional growth percentile, think that you or your students are in a race with, like in this case, it's one child. So you're in a race with 100 people that scored the same as you did on the fall test. Okay, so you're just competing against people that scored the same as you did. And then where you finish, you want to finish above the 50th percentile. They finished above at 66. So that means that they beat 34 people. Okay, or no, they were in 34th place. They beat 66 people. And then this number right here, the percentage of projected growth met, that's just taking your whole class, adding up every kid's projection. So in this class, kids were expected to grow about 7, 8, 9 points, okay? Adding all of those up. And as a class, did you get there? So the norm percent here is 100, okay? This school did a little better. And you'll notice that they still had, though, 9 kids that didn't meet it. So why would they be above 100%? It's because the kids who did meet it closed that gap for them. Again, not super important number here, not super important for us right now. I didn't even do a great job explaining this one. But you want to look at this number, and this one will give you some information. So I created this, and if you're interested in using it to inform your instruction, you may find it beneficial. So after you take your assessment, you could pull this up and you could say the number of students that met projection. Okay, we know that was 16 right here. And then the students who missed it, 25 minus 16, I have 9 kids that didn't. Okay, now I'm going to list my kids that were low achievement, low growth. All right, so you'll have their names, and then you're going to list who are these kids, low achievement, low growth. All right, and think about it, and think about what your next steps are for those students. It could be looking into their student profile and seeing what areas they need to focus on. A lot of times the kids in our pink box are already getting support, so you want to collaborate with the person that's giving them support and see how we can have them grow, because those are the kids that really need to grow. Then we're going to look at the high achievement, low growth students, okay? Because these kids right here are performing at a high level, but they're not growing at the rate that they're projected to. And so we want to see who they are, why they're there, and some next steps. And then if you have questions, you could write them here, ask them, talk to your principal about them, reach out to me, talk to your MAP coordinator, whatever works. And then I think it's always good to have some goals. So you can make a goal. In this class, they had 16 kids that met their projection from fall to winter. But what's their goal going to be for fall to spring? All right. Maybe it's 18, maybe it's 20. I'm not sure. That's up to the teacher. And then we just listed all these kids here and all these kids here. And I would ask you to choose some target kids, and put together a very specific plan to help them. Now, we're using all of our kids' data to inform our instruction, but you might want to pick maybe some kids from your pink box here, target them and create a really specific plan, or maybe your yellow kids and make a specific plan. So this is like our general information, some next steps, but then this is like really what we're looking forward to in the future to raise our students' achievement and growth. If you have more questions on this report, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to support you as you inform your instruction using the map reports. Thanks.